Greetings and welcome to STEM Inspired, where we utilize personal stories and experiences to interest the possibility of a STEM profession in adolescence. I'm your host, Jacob Zendejas. Today on the show we have a director of quality assurance. They love science fiction, especially space and technology, and their goal is to improve the lives of patients. Please give a warm welcome to Laura Meissner.
And what you do for a living?
My name is Laura Meissner, and I'm Director of Quality Assurance at Meissner Filtration Products.
What is it like to go to work every day?
I think the best part of my day is working with a number of very technical people. I love working with our staff in regard to improving products. Working with our customers is really exciting because our customers are the large pharmaceutical companies of the world that produce products that are life-changing for the general world populace. We talk a lot about the work that we do is really important to product safety, patient safety, efficacy, how well does it work, and improving our patient lives.
Definitely. And what is rewarding about your profession?
One of the things that we try very hard to do is communicate that work to the people who work in our production environment. And so some of the things that we'll do is highlight some of our customers' products in magazines and in trades where they recognize that, yes, the vaccine that your child is being inoculated with did go through the product that you helped make. So you're a critical component in that whole concept of making the world a healthier place.
Definitely, that's a very rewarding part.
It's a very rewarding part.
And when you were younger, what did you imagine you would do for a profession?
My parents were big science fiction readers, so they loved to read science fiction. And so I started with a passion for science fiction way back in grade school, and always thought that, the stories that you heard about, going up into space and other worlds were just awesome, and all the technology that came with them. In high school, we had a career class that said you had to pick a profession, and that was what you had to do as part of this class. So I was flipping through a book one day and saw that an engineer was a person who put the scientist's findings to practical use. And I went, wow, that sounds really good. I like science. I like math. I'm going to go for that. That summer, I participated in a program at the University of Santa Clara called Women in Engineering. And it was a 3-week program where we did everything from civil engineering and mixing concrete to, back then we didn't have computers, so we actually did drafting on a drafting board. That was very exciting, and did some machining on a lathe to produce parts. And it was just a fantastic 3-week summer. And I came away with that saying, I want to be an engineer. So I did pursue that and was accepted by the University of Santa Clara. So I got my undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering there. So yeah, It was a great program. So it was kind of a homegrown thing, probably out of that beginning science fiction love of books.
What was it about science fiction that just interested you?
I think it was probably that the vision of all the different things that could happen in the world, moving forward in the future was just so exciting.
And at the Women's Engineering in Santa Clara, what impacted you there when you went to that program?
I think what was the best had a little bit to do with what you're doing today. They had a mentor day where they actually placed us with a woman engineer in the Silicon Valley. So these were mostly engineers, but a lot of them were manufacturing engineers, mechanical engineers, computer science engineers were in their very beginning at that point. But we actually got to follow around one specific woman for her job for a morning. And that was, I thought, just really fascinating because I really liked that they had more interaction with people than I ever thought. I had a feeling when I first started the job that you'd just be sitting at a desk and never have any interaction with other people. And that was not true at all. And that was my biggest concern about being an engineer. So I could see very readily that that wasn't the case. So I'm a people person, so it was important to me that whatever I did involved people.
Definitely, yeah. I think a lot of kids think engineering, scientists, you're in a laboratory all the time.
Yes.
Don't see the day of light.
No, and that's not true at all.
Yeah.
Some of our best scientists in our microbiology laboratory There are some that prefer to stay in the lab and work, and they're really good at aseptic technique and what they do. But there's others that branch out and they go to a number of conferences. They work with customers to design experiments that will improve the use of our products and their product. Some people like to stay quiet and behind the scenes, and some people like to be out there and in the front of everything and giving presentations and talking to customers. It just depends on what you like to do. And again, that goes back to being passionate. Figure out what you want to do and go for it.
And can you tell me about a mentor that influenced your life?
I would probably say I had one professor at Santa Clara University. It was actually a woman, and she was one of the very early engineering professionals. And what I liked about her is she had a very good technical expertise, but again, she worked with a variety of different people and was constantly working to improve her teaching ability and bringing practical aspects into her teaching ability in order to prepare the students the best she could for real life working. That sounds like an odd mentor, but what I think impressed me about her was the caring that she had for different people and how she did the best she could to put her talents together to advance her students' knowledge and get them going in the right direction.
Yeah. And what were some of the lessons that she's taught you?
So I think the best thing she taught me would be to always evaluate the problem, understand the problem very well before you make suggestions for improvements to the problem. If you understand completely what the issue is, and make that proposal, if you can have a dialogue, you can advance it much more quickly and in a better way than if you just say, I have this great idea, and you haven't researched why it might not be a great idea. So.
Yeah. What advice would you like to give to kids that would like to enter a STEM profession?
So I think the number one thing, as I mentioned, was be passionate about what you want to do. Find that area that you can be passionate about, because you spend so much time at your job that you want something that you have fun doing. You want to be able to get up in the morning and say, I really do want to go to work today. So it's really important to choose a goal, do your best to achieve it. Don't be afraid to choose another one as you go along, because that's part of the process. But be sure that you choose one.
And what advice would you give to a child that maybe sees this as a challenge? What's something that you would tell them to, inspire them for engineering?
I think a lot of people are afraid that engineers are nerdy and not very interesting. Right. But in reality, the things that we get to do today, there's so many options that you can just about apply any of the knowledge in your engineering school to any kind of future job. So with an engineering degree, you can get an MBA. You can become a product manager, a speaker, a research scientist. The possibilities that come out of engineering are very broad. That's what's great about engineering, is you'll see people in all walks of life where engineering is their background, and it's an asset.
It gives you a set of tools.
It does. It gives you a great set of tools.
And what advice or information would you give the young women out there that would like to enter engineering?
You know, I don't think there's really any problem anymore being a woman in engineering. We're just as equal footing as men are. Even at my first job, I think the funniest part was I was simply young. So it wasn't that I was a woman, it was just my age, you know. So there's no downside to being a woman in the engineering field.
Definitely. I think now the playing field's very level now.
Very level in that.
Yeah. Field. And what advice or information would you give yourself when you were younger?
Probably to remain focused. That's probably the biggest thing. I tend to get, or have tended to get off track from time to time.
Definitely. I think we can all do that. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to share your story. It's been really inspiring.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your story, because it's inspiring that you're out here doing it.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our program. STEM Inspired is a project of BC STEM Ventura County's cross-sector network to improve educational outcomes in the STEM fields from early learning to career. STEM Inspired is generously funded by Arconic. Innovation engineered. Please join us next time as we continue to dive into the lives and experiences of STEM professionals. As always, I'm Jacob Zindahaz. Discover new things. You never know when an interest can become a passion that can change the world. This has been STEM Inspired.